Welcome to the Stuff and Thangs podcast. Your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Stuff and Thangs podcast. I am Sam. Joining me to discuss the latest episode of the Rings of Power, it's my partner in crime, it's Stefan.
Hello mate, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, not too bad. I say pretty good, then not too bad. That's a very British way of talking about myself.
That really was, wasn't it? That was very
pretty good, not too bad. And then if I kept talking, it would have been. I've had better days.
Yeah, I got up this morning. Yeah, how you normally finish it. Yeah,
I'm still here. Yeah, you know, there was an expression my grandmother used to use when saying goodnight, and it only hit me when I was older just how messed up it was. Which was like she'd say goodnight and say like, "See you in the morning, God willing." I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it's only when you get older that she's basically saying.
Yeah, hopefully you don't die in the night. I mean, it's just. I mean, I guess it's different generations. She lived through the Blitz. Perhaps that was.
Who was she, God willing, to still be there? You or her?
Well,
that's when you start thinking about it a bit.
I mean, I'd like to think all of us. She was God willing, we will all survive the night. But like I said, she lived through the Blitz, so perhaps it was perhaps it was a throwback. But yeah, I was like a teenager when all of a sudden it was like my gran used to say, "Oh, good God!"
Oh my, yeah.
Wow, what did she know that I didn't know? Like, you know, because Jerry the axe murderer lives next door. You know, we never know. So yeah. So this is the Rings of Power, Season 2, Episode 5, and the title of the episode was
Halls of Stone.
Bum bum bum. So, where do I start with this one? I think I'm going to start with a very...
Yeah, go on.
Okay, I'm going to start with a very open and honest kind of thing with this. So, yes. I really love Lord of the Rings. I love the books. I'm really enjoying this series. So please don't anyone think this is like a beration of anything. But I struggled with this episode just to get through it. I messaged you, didn't I? I was like, how can an episode have that much happen
yet be so dull? Well, I think it was so plot heavy.
You say that much happened. Now, I've seen a few people comment that. What happened?
I think it's all the progression of the story where, you know, the dwarf prince is kind of found out that he's like, well, wait a minute, I don't think I trust this. And Carrie Bringmore has kind of had the argument with Sauron, and Sauron's now like, no, fine, I'll do it myself, don't worry about it. And he's kind of like advanced it.
But that's all of that was in the week before episode. Everything you just said, Dan, was all stuff we already
knew was happening.
Yeah. So
we found there's some weird creature living in some water under the mountain. We don't know what the creature is, but there's something evil down there.
Well, we know what it is. It's the Balrog. I am of the opinion that when you are making episodic television, it needs to keep you engaged, and it needs to make you want to watch the next episode. And there was nothing in this. There was nothing in it at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're going to talk through bits and pieces. We're going to talk through like you just said, the advancement of the story, which there is that without a shadow of a doubt. But it's advancing at a snail's pace.
Yeah, this episode was slow. It was, but like you said, it was a bit of a struggle to get through. I watch these normally kind of in the evening time. This is kind of like, you know, kids have gone to bed, had dinner or whatever, and I'm like, right, okay, I'm going to go watch me Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The wife doesn't watch this one, so I have to go sit in my own little room and watch me Lord of the Rings. And this episode, I was just kind of sat there going, how long's left of it? Oh, bloody hell, still got 40 minutes left. Okay. Yeah. Bit later. How long? Oh, bloody hell, still got half hour left. Okay. It was one of those sort of episodes where you keep pressing up on the arrow to see how long's left of it. Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, I told you.
One of those sort of episodes.
I told you, and truthfully, I'll tell everyone now. I sat down and watched this and fell asleep, and then I had to watch it again because I was like, oh bloody hell, I don't know where I was, so I'll start it again, and then I fell asleep at a different part, and then I was like, oh well, clearly I'm just exhausted, and I just better watch this another day, and I struggled. I literally struggled to get through it. I basically snacked my way through it to keep my eyes open. It isn't, that's not enjoyable. And, again, this isn't me wanting to slag the show off or anything like that, because it is just so epic in all of its scale. But this is a television series, not a movie. And when you do these big epic movies, these 3-hour, 4-hour Lord of the Rings movies, you are going to have this kind of opening, and then you've got your story, and it's gonna slow down, and then you're gonna build momentum towards the finish, and then you finish, stick the landing, and you got the kind of the end of this is where we all are now, yay, and it's either setting up the next film or it's finishing. Now, with a series, it's episodic television. It's not, or at least it shouldn't be, 8 episodes, which is an hour long each, and it isn't an 8-hour movie. And this is where I think Marvel have got stuff wrong with their television. This is where I think perhaps the Rings of Power...
Just the pacing.
It's awful. The first 3 episodes they released together, and I said to you, there's no way I could watch all 3 of them. There's just no way. Forget the time aspect to it. Forget the time aspect to it. Just the fact that it was so heavy, I had to break it up. I had to do.
I attempted to watch all 3 at once, and I got the first 2 watched, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to come back to that in the morning.
I felt tired. I felt because you got to focus on it. I mean, we do the podcast, so therefore we are looking for things to discuss on the show, and it is just a case of you're watching it and you're having to sort of, okay, there's this storyline, right? Oh, yeah, I remember this storyline, right? Oh, okay, right, now this storyline, right? Okay, I remember, right, okay, yeah, there's this storyline as well, and there's this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And there are so many, with so many leading characters.
You get to, episode 3, you suddenly go, oh, crap, I forgot about that storyline as well.
Yeah. There were so basically 3 hours of television to catch us up from season 1. And then we get episode 4, which had a few bits and pieces in it of action, which enabled the pacing to feel a little bit more... I finished episode 4, I was like, oh, okay, right, here we go. Right, yeah, the pacing, there was this happened. There was this fight scene, this action sequence. I'm kind of, right, okay, that captivated me. That kept me locked in, and I followed all the story. And then we get to episode 5, and it's just like, okay, throw the brakes, everybody. We're not going to discuss any of that happened in 4, and we're just going to slow everything right down again. We're going to listen to this guy monologue for half an hour. Really?
Do you know what's really funny? So you know how I always do the little IMDb, please sponsor us, search of kind of the ratings and stuff?
Yeah.
This is the 3rd highest rated episode of the entire show, season 1 and season 2.
Wow.
And I know Ryan on our Discord, he kind of put on there, what an amazing episode. And I'm like, the only 2 episodes, so season 1, episode 6, Udon, and season 1, episode 8, Alloyed, were the only 2 that have rated higher so far.
Yeah.
And they've given this a 7.5 out of 10, 5.5 thousand. Now, I have also noticed that every episode that gets reviewed, there's less people reviewing.
Okay.
Season 1, episode 1, 55,000 reviews. Season 2, episode 5, 5.5 thousand. Now, that could be damning.
No, that's probably just the fact that other episode's been out for over 2 years.
2 years. But, there seems to be something, me and you are both very agreed. I'll say we'll talk through the episode anyway. But we are both very agreed that, this episode was a bit of a struggle. The pacing was very slow.
Yep.
And like you say, all the stuff that happened kind of was already happening. So it wasn't like a, oh my God, sort of moment.
Yeah.
Yet so many people are saying it was such an amazing episode. And I'm like, what did I miss?
Well, this is kind of where I was at, because I did fall asleep twice. So I was just like, holy shit.
What did I miss?
Clearly I've missed like this incredible action sequence or something. Now, I am never in a position to tell someone what they should or shouldn't enjoy. If people watch this episode and absolutely loved it, then fucking brilliant.
Fantastic.
Like me, I just struggled with it. It was just so much. So let's dive into it then. We're going to start with the dwarves, and we're going to look at Durin. Prince Durin has noticed the ring is changing his father, the king. So the one thing in this episode I think it did do, which we hadn't seen today, we discussed it, that the rings that the elves have had so far, we've not seen any kind of negative aspect to it. Like Galadriel is using it to enhance her own abilities and her own powers of like foresight and healing we saw. And so there doesn't appear to be anything in that thus far which is causing problems. In this episode, we do see in this, and we'll come on to the High King later on, but we do see in this that the king's behaviour has changed. We see him trusting the ring with the mountain over his son and over his dwarves and the cave singers, the mountain singers and everything. And the ring appears to have steered him correctly. He hammers a hole into like a main wall, and it opens up the light again. So everything...
And all the kind of dwarves are like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" And then they all see the light come through, and like all of them, apart from Durin, are like, "Oh my God, it's amazing!" And Durin's still like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah, I mean, he obviously trusts his wife.
Yes,
more for him. But he does, and she's obviously made it abundantly clear that there's something deep and dark in this mountain that we don't want to mess with. We don't want to disturb. We don't want to, go down any further and stuff.
Yeah.
The king is using the ring, and he's like, "There's gold down there. I want the gold." Now, what Durin says, because Durin goes to visit Celebrimbor again, he's like, the ring's changing him. He's not a greedy man, and yet he's refusing to give the other rings to dwarves unless they commit to giving him 50% of all of their treasure. It's like that's not him. He's a lot of things, but that's not him.
Yeah.
What I find interesting in this, and I'd love to get your take on it, is he says that he talks about how he's not a greedy man, like that's not the type of person he is. Prince Durin then returns to his father to talk to him, and his father joyfully kind of commends him, talks to him about how his relationship with the elves have saved the mountain, saved the kingdom, and makes him the prince again, like gives him back that. And he doesn't fight him on that. Like Durin doesn't go like, "No, father, listen, you're not paying attention." He just kind of like, "Yay, prince again." And I kind of thought that was interesting, because it's like he's going on about his dad's like, "Oh, this is influencing him, this is influencing him," and then it's just straight away like, "Oh, so I get my power back? Awesome."
Yeah, no more digging the mines, woo!
Yeah.
But like his wife looks so disappointed when she sees that he's wearing the armory thing again.
Yeah, I mean
the disappointment. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I mean I should try and get a clip of that and just put that out there as like any wife looking at a man when he's picked his own outfit. Like we're going. You're wearing that. Yeah. So that was that kind of made me laugh. Now she says to him like, "You promised me you never put on one of those rings."
Yes.
I mean, that feels almost like Frankie foreshadowed, doesn't it?
Oh, it does a bit, doesn't it? Like, "Oh no, I will never do such a thing. It's already in my pocket." It's like that kind of thing. Like when that scene was happening, I'm almost expecting him to go, "No, of course not," and then it kind of panned to his finger on her back and like it's already on or something. Like it was one of those like, "No, I'd never do that, darling." Oh crap, get it off! Take it off!
Yeah, he's already rocking 3 of them on one hand.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll never do that. Honest.
Yeah, I'm not ever gonna wear 1 ring of power when I've got 5.
Man. Yeah.
Check out my Infinity Stones, bitch. Yeah. So, I mean, that didn't happen. Clearly, that was part of my dream when I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some interesting, wild ass dreams. I mean, the sex scene between the dwarves. Wait, no, that was just in my dreams. Okay, right.
That didn't happen on this episode, no.
So I mentioned that he went to see Celebrimbor, and what we see in this episode is a continuation and probably an escalation of the level of manipulation. Wow, that was a lot of Asians from me then.
That was a lot of it. I'd give you a standing ovation, but
thank you. Yeah. And then enjoy some master. No, anyway. So he.
I'm trying not to do the breathing this week.
Yeah, he has been manipulated, and in this episode you see it again. And also, Sauron is manipulating a few of the assistants as well. Like, don't worry. Your master in all of this is, he's just trying to guide you, and don't you worry. What you're doing is really good work and stuff like that. He's basically making sure that if Celebrimbor turns on him, actually all the people there are on his side now. So if Celebrimbor works this out and suddenly snaps and is like, I'm not doing it, you get out, everyone there will be like, no, Celebrimbor, you're the one who's
you get out. Yeah,
you're losing your nerve. So he's master manipulation. He's got them all eating out of his hand, and he is telling them to make the rings for the humans. We see one of the assistants accidentally puts one of the rings on that they're making, and it makes her vanish, which is obviously something we've all, seen. She completely freaks out. She's like, I was here, but everything was like cloudy. And it's like, well, we've seen that. We all remember Frodo putting the ring on and how that looked. That was obviously the One Ring. And we now know that, Sauron's there like, that's a cool little side effect. I'll add that to my main ring later on. What up?
Yeah. Woo, I like that.
Yeah, I like that feature. Add that one to carts.
Not sure how he did it, but I'll find out and copy. Yeah.
Well, he again is using that to manipulate. He's like, if you could just tell us what it is that, we should be doing, then we wouldn't have all these errors happening and people potentially getting hurt. And it works. He does manipulate him into basically taking charge of the project again, and they are now working on the rings for humans, which I do want to circle to just for a moment because...
Yeah.
Okay, one thing first. Okay. He says to him, your lie is impacting the rings. Like, could the rings for the dwarves be corrupted? Well, the only thing we did differently is that you're lying when we did the rings for the dwarves. What do you mean? Well, you wrote to your High King and said you'd stop the forge. That's a lie. So perhaps some of your deceit has moved into the rings. But don't worry, that's not your fault. That's just happened. We'll just try and make sure it doesn't happen again. And again, like, it's just... Celebrimbor is now like, oh no, it's my fault. Oh no.
Ignoring the fact that, he's like kind of skipping over the fact that these were the rings that he actually put in the thing himself.
Yeah.
So it was him that corrupted them. Like,
it's total manipulation.
So cleverly done. Like, everything he says is just absolutely perfectly kind of aimed at getting his own goals.
Yeah, it is.
Like, because, like I say, they're eating out the palm of his hand.
Yeah, they really are.
It's the one of the female assistant that he kind of basically says, you look just like Adrian, and basically flirts with her, and now she loves that. Putty. She is putty in the hand. She is
weak at the knees. Oh, he called me Galadriel.
When the sun hits your hair like that, you just like my fair. She's like, who's that? Oh, Lady Galadriel. Oh, you think I look like her?
Yeah. I'm guessing at these times that's the equivalent of like comparing a woman you're seeing to like a absolute famous like sex symbol.
Yeah, that's
like,
it.
Yeah, you look just like what's her name? And she's like, oh, really? You think? Oh my god.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Yeah.
Oh my god. How about we get some drinks later? Do some crazy shit.
Yeah. That's literally kind of what happens with his assistant. She's like. You can see that the blushy and anything you say, I will now listen to. And you're like, that's another one under the. That's another one on the notebook. He's ticked that one off.
It's another ring played with. Hang on, no, let's move on. So he has this debate with Celebrimbor, right? And This is kind of like a funny thing to me, like this fantasy trope.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, okay, we've done these rings for the elves. Yeah, definitely. The elves can be trusted to do this. Yeah, definitely. We're going to make these rings for the dwarves. Yeah, the dwarves. Yeah, that makes sense. We can trust the dwarves. We should make these rings for the humans. Fuck no.
No, definitely not.
No way. Not a
Those
chance.
bastards are corruptible.
What the hell? Why is it in every fantasy trope are we just the worst? I mean, they're right.
They're spot on, but...
Yeah.
But still, yeah, he's like, no, not the humans. Why not? Corrupted.
Yeah, absolutely awful.
Corrupted.
Absolutely awful people. I mean,
they will set fire to everything. Don't give them power.
They will literally scorch earth. They're the worst. So that kind of made me laugh. I mentioned, obviously, we know that the orc army has arrived there now. So at the end of this episode, they have got this place in sight. They are there ready to storm the place because they're trying to kill Sauron, which is just such a hilarious turn of events here. But
yeah,
Elrond,
when you think of orcs and you think of Sauron, you don't necessarily put them together as they tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we saw them stab him a lot. So
yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Elrond finally gets to the High King. We saw lots of running and fast map travel, and then he gets there. He did the Muppets. We're gonna travel by map. Now he gets there. Knackered. High King. Like, you can't send the army off to everyone. And the High King is, no, we must destroy Sauron where he is, and all this stuff. And suddenly realise that the ring he's wearing is manipulating him. The High King is getting visions and visions of Sauron in Mordor, in control, raising his army. Now, whether these visions he's seeing are manipulation or they are just so far into the future of when Sauron is in Mordor and Sauron is marshalling his forces, I don't know. But now...
I wasn't quite sure of that because, like you say, from what we've seen so far, the Elvish rings haven't caused any problems.
No.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, now I can't tell if this is the start of the elf rings starting to play a bit of havoc.
Yeah.
Or if it is like you just say, he is seeing something. Like we saw, Galadriel saw the hand in the tomb when they were going through the forest and stuff. And that was like, oh, that's like 5 minutes away. Is the High King where he's
much further into the future?
Yeah, where he's older and wiser and maybe has that power a bit stronger than Galadriel does.
Yeah.
The ring has amplified that, and he's actually seeing like 100 years in the future or something, and he's like, "Oh crap!"
Because what's interesting, of course, is we're looking at it from the point of view of, are the rings corrupting, or are they actually just taking what's there and amplifying it? So is the Dwarf King now suddenly seeming greedy? Perhaps he always did have greed in him, but he suppressed it. The ring isn't allowing that. The ring's like, no, be greedy. Get the gold. Get that shit. You go, girl.
You can do it. Yeah.
And with the elves and their like foresight and things like that, is it just amplified to a point that they're terrifying themselves? Like, oh my God, the whole world's going to end. It's going to burn. Everyone's dead. So that's kind of interesting to me. Now, of all the people, Elrond looking at the High King with the ring on, like, I'm telling you, there's an orc army about to storm an elvish, like, if we let them do that, we're like, what are we even doing here? Like, the whole thing could fall apart. And he's like ignoring him, staring at his ring. Elrond is not going to take that well.
I mean, he's such a big fan of the rings, though.
He does appear to be like go team rings.
Yeah, he's very much number one fan. But yeah, I think that he's going to get pissed. He is very much like, come on, listen to me. And then I think if he gets ignored by a second person because of the rings, he is going to start really just like, no, I'm on my own, man, I'll do it myself.
Well, it's interesting because he has Galadriel's ring in his possession now.
Yes.
And I do kind of wonder, is curiosity going to get the better of him? Like, is he going to be like, what's the big deal? Look, I put the thing on. Ooh, it's pretty. It's so pretty.
I mean, I know. I guess actually, this is just going to play into the trope perfectly. If I had that ring in my pocket for that long, I would have tested it out.
See.
I would have tested it.
Humans
easily
humans are
manipulated.
bad.
We are corruptible.
So, heading off to the island of Numenor, we see that the new king is taking charge quite brutally. He is clamping down. He is anyone who's not for me is against me. It's not just like you can have a different opinion.
Well, isn't he?
You are actively against me, and he's a monumental asswipe.
Yes.
And he has already had confrontations with Valandil, who he was great friends with Isildur, and obviously really respects Isildur's father, Elendil. And Valandil and Elendil have this confrontation with him when he breaks up basically like a funeral service, like an absolute knob cheese.
That was, they're having their little
ceremony,
mourning service ceremony. And they just walk in like, no, it's condemned. Everyone get out.
Yeah,
and you're you're just a dick.
Yeah, I mean that's literally.
He has little man syndrome massively.
Well, I mean, his father basically says to him like, "I need you to go and do a task, and I need you to do it." Well, his task was clearly to antagonize, create the issue that Elendil would end up imprisoned. What's interesting to me is that Elendil now, in this, was trying to be peaceful. Like, he resigned his commission. He was trying to just be like, okay, I'll walk away. I'm not going to get involved.
That was a cool scene. I liked that scene with the whole
captain.
I'm no longer the captain. Yes, captain. Yes, captain.
Yeah,
my captain.
My captain
and
moment. Yeah.
The little boy toy soldier bloke in the corner. Shut up! Stop it! Stop it! Yeah. It was from that moment I was like, oh, you are going to do something seriously dickish by the end of this episode.
And you were right.
You know, you can see. Yeah.
So Elendil, Valandil are obviously at this ceremony. Elendil's trying to defuse it and walk away. It kicks off. Valandil gets the little tow rag, like I think dislocates his shoulder and has the sword to him. Elendil convinces him not to kill him, convinces him to put the sword down and surrender, and the little shit stabs him in the back through the heart.
Yes.
That was so obvious what was going to happen. Like
as soon as he turned around and faced him,
I was like, I'm going to see a sword come through him any minute. This is so bad. And Valandil's dead. Elendil is imprisoned. And probably making it a million times worse is Elendil's own daughter, Isildur's sister, helping all of this.
Yeah.
I gotta believe she doesn't realise, or I just gotta think that she doesn't realise what's going on. Like, she's got it in her head. Elves are bad because everyone in Numenor think that, and our queen was using this elvish stone. Therefore, everything she did was a lie. And, like, but the fact, like, that, I mean, she was very close with Valandil as well. So the fact he's now been murdered, her father in prison, surely that should wake her up.
Yeah, so there was one scene in this where, Keeman, I think his name is, the son?
Okay.
Keeman? Or something, I think I'm saying it wrong. But
the way I say his name isn't anything like that. It rhymes with runt.
Little in front of it, yeah. So there's a scene where his daughter, Elendil's daughter, is talking to Valandil.
Yeah.
I am awful at names. We know this anyway. But they're talking. She has her arm on her hand on his arm and stuff.
Yeah.
And the king's son is watching. And you know, when you just look at it and you go, you know, we say about the foreshadowing thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him, looking towards them two, and I'm like, oh, he's in love with the girl or something, and something's going to happen. And then as soon as it kind of got to that scene where those two were fighting in the shrine, I'm like, he's going to kill him. He's going to kill him. Even before, like, he was attempting to drown him, I'm like, he's going to kill him because he fancies the girl. And I'm like,
okay, I never put that together, to be honest.
Did you not?
I thought his taste ran towards little boys rather than girls. So
no, I think he's in love with the daughter and was angry, okay. And that's why I think he killed him in the end, because it was kind of like a hush, is mine now. I could be very wrong, and actually he could fancy the captain. We don't know, but
no, I'm fairly confident he likes small animals and children. So the next part of the episode I wanted to discuss really. So yeah, just Numenor. Numenor is a mess. Like that.
Oh, very much.
That storyline for me is the one I'm least engaged with right now. I'm not entirely sure why.
It's the storyline that of all of this episode.
Yeah. That
was the storyline we kind of like the most, in quotations, action happened in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also the one where I'm like, if we don't see that next episode, I'm not going to be bothered.
No, I'm a bit disengaged.
It's a strange
with it.
one.
I'm a bit disengaged. I can't exactly tell you why, but I am. Adar. So Galadriel's taken into this sort of orc camp. Interesting. Like, I think Galadriel clearly has a reputation of being like one of the great warriors of all Middle Earth, because there's this interesting thing. She's in chains. She's surrounded. Like all of them are there, and you see them like. As she jumps down, like a few of them literally jump, like, oh, she's okay, she's fine, it's fine, she's still in chains, it's no worries.
Yeah, we're okay.
Like, there's 1,000 of us surrounding her. Can we get another 1,000, please? Because it's her.
I want bigger chains.
Yeah, so I found that quite interesting, and I liked how they did that.
And it's the fact that he opens the kind of door with this long stick from a distance.
Yeah, like she's some sort of wild animal.
Yeah, I thought he was going to poke her with a stick or something, but it's actually unpicking the door.
Yeah, I thought that.
And then the fact that she just jumps out like, right, come on then. Yeah. He's like, Jesus Christ, woman, calm down.
Love Galadriel.
You are seriously outnumbered here, love. Chill just a little bit.
No, love Galadriel. I love the kind of...
Adar comes out and she's like complete badass. Yeah. Like, oh, I know I'm going to get out of this. Okay.
Yeah. So what I find interesting is Adar says to her, we have a mutual enemy. Now, the little shit Halbrand, before becoming whatever he is currently, said to him that she was in league with Sauron. And so he sent him off. The fact he's now said that we have a mutual... So he obviously didn't believe Halbrand. He obviously didn't believe him. No. Because I thought we were going to get one of these annoying kind of situations where they're like actually on the same side, but they're like, oh, you're in league with my enemy. You're in league with my enemy. Rawr. Okay, someone actually talk. Because if you actually talk this out,
you'll kill you because you like him. Yeah. No, I'm going to kill you because you like him.
So I thought we were going to have one of those annoying kind of tropes. But him saying that kind of threw me. So I was like, well, hang on a minute. If you didn't believe him, why did you let him go? For one. Two, did you therefore know it was Sauron and you let him go? Surely you try to cut the frigger's head off. So that didn't make sense to me. Like, if you knew it was Sauron, why would you let him go? If you didn't know it was Sauron, why would you let just a random guy go who's lying to you? So that kind of threw me. So I'm hoping we get an explanation in the next episode, because right now I feel a little bit lost on that.
It doesn't quite make sense in that term. Like, surely, if you know who it is, you are holding them prisoner for, like, he's locked back up somewhere and that's it. Kind of, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, you find a deep, dark hole, you put him in it, and you look at him and go, clearly I can't kill you, but you're staying in that friggin' hole.
But I also don't trust you, so you're staying
You see this mountain that I'm about to move? That's basically going to land on top of this hole. Have a good time in there for the next millennia. Because, like, why would you let the guy out? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So I can't think in a million years he thought it was Sauron he was facing. So he must have just thinking, oh, this little shit's lying to me, but what's he like? Maybe he, like, released him on the basis of, well, let's see where he goes. I don't know. I'm really lost with, like, what the thinking is there, because I thought going into this kind of these two talking, it was going to be a, like I said, a bit of a silly trope of like, no, you're his enemy. No, you're his enemy.
Yeah.
And then we'd have like this kind of like, oh shit, wait a minute. Who told you Sauron was back? Well, your ally, Halbrand. He's not that is Sauron. And then it'd be like, I had him in chains. Are you kidding me?
With the orcs all there going, oh, he let him go. Yeah. Oh my God. Or I just it'd be that or the little orc that seems to be the main character orc. I'll call him at the moment.
Yeah, with his family.
But that's it. Him just stood there going, "Will you two shut up and listen? You both ain't the same bloke."
Oh my god, I love the characterization you've just given it. Now listen up, you pair of plonkers.
I probably went for that one, didn't I? Yeah.
Oh, I love that characterization for him.
I'm sorry, main orc.
Yeah. Not like master. It's like, oh, listen up, you pair of tossers. All right,
will you listen to me, all right?
Yeah, all right. Down the market, I saw this governor, right, and he looked just like that Sauron twat.
Yeah, he told me. You told him that you let him go.
I know. So what gives? Yeah. I think there's So an interesting discussion that's ongoing with this show is around. So I'd love to get your take on it. Is around the orcs and the fact we're seeing orc families, and you said about Ryan on the Discord. It's kind of like, I don't like that they're trying to give us orcs as a kind of normal race on Middle Earth and stuff like that. Where's your head on this? Because I've said about it before. Like, I'm kind of divided on this. I kind of understand it from the story they're trying to tell with Adar, where he is different. But then on the flip side, I'm kind of like, but in Middle Earth, they're just evil. Like, it's like my understanding has always been that they're evil. They eat and just like destroy. That's what they do. They're created like you saw the Uruk-hai are literally birthed in like these pods under the ground. They're not like born.
Yes.
So
Are you ready to go down the really, really nerdy path of me growing up?
Okay.
Are you ready for this? With that question about the orcs.
Just hold on 1 second.
Nerd!
Please continue.
Oh, it's going full on. So when I was growing up, I used to play an online, very, very well known game called World of Warcraft.
Yes, other online games are available. Yeah.
Other online games are available. On World of Warcraft, I was always an orc character.
Is that because you want to feel pretty?
Because I feel pretty compared to my character. And I always had a headcanon about my character. He was not a typical orc. He wanted to be good.
Okay.
And then I went on to play games such as The Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, The Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, and other games like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I have always been an orc character.
Okay.
And I have always had the headcanon about my character because, when you're playing these sort of games, you go full role-playing nerd level that I do. So I have the headcanon that my character may be an orc on the outside, but it doesn't mean they're a bad, horrible person on the inside. I was always a good orc. I'd save the day and rescue people, and I was a good orc.
So you enjoyed watching Shrek as a kid, and that really influenced you.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Just checking that out,
But I was like always kind of like, I was always the good orc. In everything I played, I was always an orc, and I was always a good orc. Okay. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, oh yeah, good orcs. Yeah, there we go. There are some good orcs out there. It wasn't just me. But at the same time, I'm also with you, where I'm like, but orcs are evil. Like, the reason I made my character was all orcs are bad, and I wanted to make one that was good for a bit of fun. Yeah. So now I'm watching this, and I'm like, well, you're completely fucking headcanon up. Like, having other good orcs out there kind of ruins my entire childhood.
Okay,
but at the same time,
first of all, ruins your entire childhood. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I put a lot of hours into these games. A lot of hours.
Clearly, yeah. Yeah, clearly. I always like the fact on games now, especially these sort of role-playing games, you get these little things come up, like, you've been playing this game for X amount of hours. In that time, you could have done this, you could have done that. It's like, I don't think you realise that that's actually a flex. Like, when you're a teenager and you're playing it, and you're like, oh, I put 800 hours into this game, and then you get into like your 20s and 30s, and you go, oh, wow, I really am wasting my life.
I have put too much time. You don't even want to know. Like, if I was to open up one of my game sites that tells me all my games, Some of the games on there, they're into like the hundreds, and some of them are even into the thousands of hours.
Wow.
And when I was younger, playing World of Warcraft as my orc, that was like, I remember once you used to be able to put a command into the chat and it gave you like all your playing time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
Well, clearly it left you as a very well grounded and happy individual. So
exactly,
not
where
wasted time.
I'm very glad that I had this good orc, and I'm now seeing other good orcs just trying to live their life.
I get you.
If in the next episode we see them in the next episode as just like the bloodthirsty orcs that we know them to be, I don't know if I'm going to be really happy or disappointed.
Well, we will find out whether it's in the next episode or in 7 seasons' time. Who knows? It's dragging it. That is literally everything I had in my notes. I mean, I know this show is going to be a little bit shorter than last week, but like I said, there really wasn't any kind of major events to dive into. It was just like continuations of storylines. Is there anything that I've missed?
The only thing is, like I say, with the princess of the dwarves, when she goes down there and she's trying to find the marble ball has rolled off, and she follows it down, and we get that kind of the water rippling and stuff. It's like there's something evil down there. Yeah. Like you say, kind of where we know as the fans what it is.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay.
And the fact that they kind of don't, they just know there's a great evil down there.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we know.
Yeah, I remember there's some dialogue in the films taken directly from the books, which is basically, the dwarves tunneled too deep and awoke something, an ancient evil.
Yes.
And sort of Gandalf's thinking of that, like when they're saying, "Oh, we should go through the mines of Moria," and he's like, "Maybe not. Maybe not a good idea.
Maybe we should just fly, you fools." Yeah, it was easier.
Okay, so that is our show for this week. That was episode 5 of season 2 of The Rings of Power: The Halls of Stone. We are back talking more Rings of Power this time next week, but also. If you're a fan of the Marvel television series, Agatha All Along begins this week. Our show will become a threesome again as Marvel superfan Kaylee rejoins us. We will be discussing that show, and it should be available every Friday. Episodes drop Wednesday. Our show should be available for you all to listen to on the Friday. So hopefully, if you're listening to this and you've got an interest there, you'll join us for that as well. But keep an eye on our socials. Any shows that are coming up soon, we will obviously post about on there. But yeah, this will continue, and obviously Agatha All Along, which should be fun, I hope. Although it looks a little bit scary.
I don't know how far you're going to get into it. I think you're going to get scared.
I think so. It could be a threesome drop into a twosome very fast because of me just like, no. I'm scared.
No, I don't like it. I watch it at night time. I don't like it.
I want to put the show in the freezer. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back next week. Until then, you all take care.
Until next time, speak soon.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Thangs podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Thangs podcast to join in our conversation every week.